dear students, and once again I welcome you back to the English online classes. I hope you have been going through the videos of English as well as the other subjects too. And in the previous video where we people have done this chapter, we are not afraid to dive, we can all be together. In this we have done a few of the paragraphs which we will have a quick recall, and then I'd like to continue with the chapter. In this chapter, we are not afraid to die. We people have seen that there is a businessman who is a 37-year-old man, and his wife Mary, his two children, one son, his name is Jonathan, and daughter Suzanne. They all decided to duplicate the sea voyage which was done around some 200 years ago by Captain James Cook, and they wanted to follow on the footpath of this famous explorer. And because of that reason, for around some 16 years of their life, they had spent practicing and making their sea surfing skills perfect, or you can say that to bring it to perfection. And then they had set out on a journey with their boat named as Wave Walker, which has been described to be a wooden hulled beauty, somewhat 23 meters long and 30 ton in weight. And they had already tested this boat in the roughest weathers of British water, and then they set out on a journey in 1976 from their place Plymouth. And the first part of their journey, I hope you remember that I have told there are certain terms which are used in the sea voyage. In that, one term is leg, means a part of it. And in this, the first part of their journey, which was supposed to be a 3-year journey of around 1,05,000 kilometer, it went off very smoothly. Perfectly it went off. No tensions, no obstacles, no hindrances. But now when they were going to start off from Cape Town, where they were right now, it was really going to be a tough time for them, because they were entering after leaving Cape Town into the most roughest sea, or you can say the very moody sea they were entering into, and that was the southern Indian Ocean. So because of that reason, they decided to hire 2 men, and they did so for the reason that they wanted to have extra hands to help them in their journey. And then after that, they set out on their journey from Cape Town. And it has been said that the second day itself, they started facing very strong wind. And not only strong wind, the most dangerous part was the high waves which were right front of them. And I told you about how high the waves were, and about the mast, how the waves were literally equal to that of the mast, which was somewhat 15 meters high. And then December 25th, they celebrated Christmas peacefully with a Christmas tree, hoping that the new year will be bringing some good news for them. And they, according to the narrator, he says that yes, the new year did change, but it changed for the worst, because by the morning of January 2, please do remember the dates, because depending on the dates, many incidents are there, many happenings are there. The waves were very gigantic. The 15 meters turned even more high. And then they were sailing with a strong jib, and with each wave, the boat, the wave walker, was going up, and they could see right front of their eyes a very big sea and nothing else. And as I have said in the earlier video also, that you can understand this lesson, you can understand the condition of the people given in this lesson, who exist in the story, only and only when you yourself is there in their place. Keep yourself in their place. Try to imagine what it would feel like to be in a boat which is just 23 meter long, and in between a big sea with high waves, strong winds blowing, and with every high wave your boat is racing up, and you can see right front of you a very big wide open sea with nothing else, only water. And the strong wind and the water splashing is very painful to the ears. So what the captain did was, he slowed wanted to slow down the speed of the boat, so he dropped down the strong jib. About the jib, I told you, it's a sail, the cloth which is used to use the wind to change the direction of the ship or boat or yacht or whatever it is. And then they used a heavy rope and they double lashed everything that they could. Then I said that around 6 p.m. the worst happened. The disaster took place. Actually, suddenly the wind it dropped and sky became dark. Sky became dark. You too might have felt it many times before raining, how the cloud turns dark in color, it turns all blackish and it becomes dark all around. So here also the same thing happened. He felt that suddenly everything was very dark and he felt that the sky has turned dark. But then he realized that actually it was not the sky. Right on top of the ship, on the top of the boat, wave walker, there was a wave. And you just imagine how big that wave might be, how gigantic it might be, that it has made him feel like as if though the sky has turned dark. And he says that the tip of the wave seemed very dangerous, very treacherous, brutal, like as if though wants to kill everything that comes on the way. And then the roar increased into a thunder. The stern, I told you what is a stern, the front part. The stern, it moved along with the race of the wave, and they thought that maybe they will ride over it. But then suddenly the entire deck, the front part, pointed part is called as the stern, and the deck is the plain area in the front part. That deck, it suddenly shook, like as if though a bomb has exploded. Actually, what happened? A big wave, it has gone high up and taken a turn back and came and hit the deck. The result of it was, as I told in the last video, slight filmy it looks like, but then they all happen in real life. So when the wave it hit the deck, an explosion took place, and because of the effect of that explosion, our narrator, who was controlling the wheel of the boat, like how the steerings are there in the car, like that only the wheel is there in the boats. So he was controlling the wheel. He went overboard, flying in the air into the straight into the waves. And he was very sure, yeah, I'm going to die, I'm not going to live any further. And because of that reason, it was like very peaceful. And then unexpectedly another thing happened. His head popped out of the water, and he found that in front of his eyes, wave walker was capsizing. It was sinking horizontally with its mast parallel to the water, surface of the water. Then don't know what happened, but a miracle took place. A big wave came and it pushed the wave walker from down. The down part which was in the water, it gave a push to that part of the wave walker, and wave walker became upright on the surface of the water. Now you just think, something which was down into the water, when it got a jerk and it became upright, automatically everything in the ship will get a jerk. Same thing happened with the narrator also. He was wearing a life jacket, and that was you can say that with a string it was tied up to the boat. And when the boat got a jerk and suddenly it became straight on the surface of the water, that rope got a jerk, and our narrator, again from inside the water, he went flying in the air and on the deck. He fell down there, and then like a rag doll, like from one place to another side, one side to the other side of the boat, he was going on tossing because of the wobbling of the boat due to the waves. And the result was his ribs cracked, his left ribs cracked, and then his mouth was filled with blood, and he had even broken teeth. And then somehow he gathered all his strength and he got the wheel and he got the wave walker ready for the next wave. I think that's the spirit we need when we decide to get into such kind of dangerous journey. Then it was water everywhere in the sense that the ship was full of water. He knew that. A big and a major damage is being done, but he can't leave the wheel and go. And suddenly, the hatch, the cover which was there on the cabin inside which the wheel was, a small cabin, it was open, and his wife appeared over there, and she screamed actually, and she said, "We are sinking. The decks are smashed, and then we are full of water." The poor lady, she don't even know what happened with her husband, how he went flying overboard, and how he went flying and came back on the boat. She don't even know what happened. But then he said that, okay, you take the wheel, and he went for catching the things. This is what we people have done in the previous class. So after this quick revision, I hope that those who have not gone through the videos, you might have come across what we people have studied. So let's continue. Larry and Herb were pumping like madmen. Broken timbers hung at crazy angles. The whole starboard side bulged inwards. Clothes, crockery, charts, tins, and toys sloshed about in deep water. I half swam, half crawled into the children's cabin. "Are you all right?" I asked. "Yes," they answered from an upper bunk. "But my head hurts a bit," said Sue, pointing to a big bump above her eyes. I had no time to worry about bumped heads. Now our narrator, he came out of that place. He just moved the hatch one side, and he came out, and he found that Larry and Herb, you remember the two men they hired before leaving Cape Town, they were pumping like madmen. Means they were trying to take out the water which was coming inside the ship. And now the condition of the ship: broken timbers hung at crazy angles. It means that at every angle, wherever his eyes went, he could see timbers, means the wooden part of the boat, broken and hanging in the air. The whole starboard side bulged inwards, means the side body of the boat was bulged inside. Bulged inside means it was like as if something has been punched, then that punch makes the thing go inward, no? Inside, like that only. The starboard, because of the force with which water has hit it, it has got bent inside. Force of water is too much, that all you people might be knowing. And then clothes, crockery, charts, tins, and toys sloshed about in the deep water. Means the water which was there inside, in that all these items were floating, sloshed. They were floating over there. He somehow managed, and he swam, little he crawled, and he went and reached near children's cabin, and he asked them, "Are you all right?" Then they answered that yes, they are, because they were sitting down on the upper bunk. You people might be knowing that when generally you might have seen that in many of the ships and places, there they make 1 or 2 or 3 layered beds, bunks. So here they were sitting down on the upper bunk, and then Sue, the girl, Suzanne, she said, in short her name is Sue over here, she said that my head hurts a bit. And actually what has happened is that when the ship was wobbling because of the waves hitting it, her head has got banged, maybe with something, and because of that reason, just above her eyes, a big bump. Like how when we get hit and we get a potato on our affected area, no? In the same way, she had a bumped head. And the writer, he says that, the narrator, he says that basically he don't have time to think about the bumped heads. So he moved further. First he has to somehow manage stopping the water coming inside the ship, inside the boat. After finding a hammer, screws, and canvas, I struggled back on deck. With the starboard side bashed open, we were taking water with each wave that broke over us. If I couldn't make some repairs, we would surely sink. Somehow, I managed to stretch canvas and secure waterproof hatch covers across the gaping holes. Some water continued to stream below, but most of it was now being deflected over the side. So our narrator, he managed to find a hammer, screws, and canvas. Canvas that plastic type of sheets, no, that he not plastic exactly. You might be knowing canvas. What does it mean? A kind of covering that they use to have some security to the materials. And then he had the waterproof hatch covers. um, to how he made that, you just imagine that a part of the boat, the side of the boat, okay, it is open and water is all flowing in with every wave. So now what he did, he spread that canvas, that waterproof hatch, he spread over that area from outside or inside, whichever may be. And he just, because the starboard was already open now, and with every movement, with every wave, they were taking in a lot of water. So he took that canvas, like waterproof sheets type, he took that canvas and he spread over that open area, the starboard which broke open, that area he put, and with the hammer and screw he tightened it up. Now also water was coming in, but maximum of the water was hitting that waterproof hatch and falling back into the sea, into the ocean. Now further, more problems arose when our hand pumps started to block up with the debris floating around the cabins and the electric pump short circuited. The water level rose threateningly. Back on deck, I found that our two spare hand pumps had been wrenched overboard, along with the forestay sail, the jib, the dinghies, and the main anchor. Okay, now the problem, next problem. It happens generally when one problem comes, the other flows in automatically. So here also the problem was that the hand pumps which they were using for pumping out the water from the boat, suddenly it got blocked. Why blocked? Because debris, pieces of wood was floating in the water, so that went inside and it blocked the hand pump. And the electric pump, it got short circuited. That is obvious, no? So water level was rising up and it was a great threat. And then he went back on the deck where two spare hand pumps which were lying down, that has been wrenched overboard. Means when the this wave hit the boat and the boat was shaking about, wobbling about, because of that reason the hand pumps, they have gone into the ocean. Not only the hand pumps, even one of their sail, a sail means the cloth which they use, that sail, the jib, the dinghies you might be knowing, the small boats that they keep for emergency, and the main anchor. You know what is an anchor, with which a ship, a boat, or any of those kind of vessel is used to stay in one place. And then this all had gone overboard, means it has all fallen into the ocean because of this entire incident. Then I remembered we had another electric pump under the chart room floor. I connected it to an outpipe and was thankful to find that it worked. The night dragged on with an endless, bitterly cold routine of pumping, steering, and working the radio. We were getting no replies to our mayday calls, which was not surprising in this remote corner of the world. Sue's head had swollen alarmingly. She had two enormous black eyes, and now she showed us a deep cut on her arm. When I asked why she hadn't made more of her injuries before this, she replied, I didn't want to worry you when you were trying to save us all. Okay. Now, when the hand pump, electric pump, the spare head pumps, nothing was there, then suddenly he remembered that there was another electric pump, a spare one, which was somewhere under the chart room floor. Chart room is the one where the maps and all the other devices required for the journey is kept. And then he took that electric pump, he connected it to an outpipe. I think you people might have seen a borewell, right? Like how when you switch on the motor and how the water comes out from the pipe. from inside the well? Yeah, same way. He connected it to an outpipe and started the electric pump, which thankfully was working, and now the water started pumping out of the boat, out of the wave walker. The night of January 2 seemed to be endless. It was very cold and it continued with pumping of water, steering, and working with the radios. Working with the radios means they were there were no replies to their mayday calls. You might be knowing that what do you mean by the mayday calls? Mayday calls are the one which are made by the people who go for sea voyage whenever they are in difficulty, that they just make the mayday calls and the replies that we people get in return of that. That is what was something they were trying whole night and they never got any reply. He was not surprised because they themselves didn't know where they were actually in that vast ocean. And in this weather, they were somewhere in a remote corner, and it was natural that there was no response to their mayday calls. Then Sue, you remember Sue's head had a bump because of her head getting hit somewhere. Now the swelling started increasingly, and it was really threatening that it was increasing because she had two big black eyes. You people might have seen boxing, right? And when the eyes are punched down, it turns black. The same way she had literally two big enormous black eyes, and then she showed them that she not only had blackened eyes but also she had a deep cut in her arm. So her father asked, why you never said about these things, these injuries to me before? You know the reply that girl gave? She said, I didn't want to worry you. You need this courage, understanding in such situation. And she said, I didn't want to worry you when you were trying to save us all. And this is what they did. This is what happened with them on January 2. Now that we are going to proceed to January 3, which I'll be doing in the next video. My dear students, I'm going a little slow with regard to this chapter because date-wise, as I said, happenings are there. Because of that reason, you have to be a little more careful with this chapter. Before I wind up this video, I would like to tell you a few things. The most important thing is that I have been trying to contact on your WhatsApp number through a message. From the bio group, only 2 people have responded till now, and from commerce group, not even a single person. So my dear students, you please check up your WhatsApp messages. Maybe my one message might be lying somewhere. If you haven't received it, if your WhatsApp number is something other than what you have given in the school, it is necessary that you must pay attention that I, being your class teacher as well of commerce and bio group, I need those phone number in which WhatsApp is working, because your exam will be conducted through these numbers. So because of that reason, please the numbers, and kindly don't give your such numbers like your parents who might have gone to the office, because during that time slot which is given for exam, if you are not available, it will be marked absent. So please my dear students, I am giving you one number of mine. Kindly the commerce IP and bio IP students may send their WhatsApp number with their email ID and name as well to this number at the earliest. My number is 9755787454. I hope I'm very clear. These numbers which I'm asking you, my dear students, is necessary for conducting the examination which is going to start very soon. So kindly take this matter a little seriously and either respond to the message if you have received from my number, or if not yet, please send me that number which you want me to